There was this one time, and I don't know what it was. Now that I'm thinking about like all the weird things that I've seen, we were coming back from a hockey game. So we lived about 3 hours from Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
And so we had gone up there. It was me, and we were in high school. So it was me and a group of my friends. We drove up for a hockey game. The hockey game started at 7, probably. They last about 3 hours. So it's 10, 11 o'clock when we get out of the hockey game. So it's, 3 hour drive home. We're coming into our hometown, and it's like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And it's just this car full of girls, and we're coming down, and, it's a little town. There's nobody up. We're coming down the main strip and through town, and there the one bus stop there has like a bench and stuff, and as we're driving by it, we're all like, who's at the bus stop? There's somebody sitting at the bus stop, like just sitting on the bench for the bus stop. And we're
Are you
like,
sure you
who?
guys weren't you sure you guys weren't here? Because at 9 o'clock everything is closed down, the streets are rolled up, and there's one bus stop.
And so, well, we're all like weirded out because we're like, who's waiting for the bus at this time? Like, there's no buses. And so we're, of course, now we're all staring at this person as we go by, and they're dressed in all black, and they had their head down like reading a book or a newspaper or something, until we got like, we're passing them, and I don't know if it was a man or a woman, but they looked up at us, and when they looked up, they looked like the anonymous people. This is before anonymous. This was like 2000s, early 2000. I graduated in 2004, so this is when I was in high school. And they had a white mask on, just the plain white mask with the
You see
black
the dirty
eyes.
look. You see the dirty look I gave you, right?
So this,
2004.
you know the anonymous masks, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what this person had on their face. And they just slowly lift their head up and look at us. And we're all like, oh my God, what is that? And this person gets up and runs at the car and chases us down the street.
Are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
Oh shit. What did you guys speed up? Did
Yeah.
you like try to
We're
run him over?
my friend Sharia was driving, and we're like, Sharia, fucking go faster. It's catching up. And she's like, the speed limit's only 25, guys. And we're like,
Fuck that. Sorry. I get pulled over. First words out of my mouth are going to be, yes, I was doing 65, officer, but there's a dude in a V for Vendetta anonymous mask that's chasing me.
we didn't know what the anonymous masks were back then.
Well, then you could have just said this. There was a fucker with a mask on chasing me. So, like, can you check him out? And I'll wait here. And if you don't find him, I'll take that ticket. No problem. No. Did I ever tell you about the time I think I met a maybe serial killer in the making?
Ooh, no.
I didn't tell you about that. Well, since you talked about the,
Oh, this
you
very
know,
well could have been anonymous. The anonymous group was founded in 2003.
oh shit, yeah.
And this would have been, we were driving, so we had to have at least been juniors, which would have been 2003.
I was in college in 2003. No, I wasn't either. I was doing an internship. God, I'm
Me
old.
and Betty were just talking about this. He was showing me pictures of like, it was today. He's showing me pictures of like when he first joined the Navy and stuff like that. And he's like showing me his first duty stations. And it's funny, like one of the pictures says like, I don't know, 2005 or something. And I'm
Mhm.
laughing. I'm like, here you are in 2005, like,
In the Navy.
yeah, in the Navy. And here's a picture of me drunk riding a horse backwards.
The year I
2005.
graduated out of high school.
We're not the same.
Well, he's what, 2 years younger than I am?
He's 45.
Oh, he's 5 years younger than I
Mm-hmm.
am. Oh,
Yeah, he was
I
born
don't
in
know.
79. 79, I think.
Oh, yeah, I don't feel so good about that anymore. Never mind. So, okay. So, I was in college And I went to college in Southern California. I lived in Southern California, and all my family was still up here in the Central Valley. And I would always leave, like I'd get out of class, to to go spend a weekend with my mom, my uh, sister, my niece and nephew and stuff. And so I would get out of class, I'd go home, I'd pack an overnight bag, and I would like take a nap until 11, 12 o'clock at night. And then that's when I drove because one, there's no traffic down the 99, and two, there's no cops.
Right.
So you didn't have to worry about doing 65. And so and I still do it now. Like I pack snacks, I had drinks, like a little ice chest, so I didn't have to stop anywhere. And when you're driving 6 hours, um, you get a little peckish.
Right.
And of course, so if you're drinking your water and your soda, and you gotta pee. So
Right.
it was like 2, 3 in the morning, and I stopped just on the other side of Bakersfield. So it was this little tiny town. I can't remember exactly. It was like in between Bakersfield, um, and then as you're going through, so it could have been like Earl Mart, it could have been McFarland. I mean, it's this little shitty, farming town that there's no law enforcement,
Right.
none. Um, and so I'm like, oh God, I gotta pee. So I pull off the freeway and I find a derelict gas station.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, well, obviously it's been closed up, so nobody is here. So if I go around the back of the building and squat, nobody's going to pay any attention to me.
Right.
So I do this and I come back, and as I go to get into my car, and I had a purple Dodge Neon at the time. Um, you know, don't hate me, but I thought it was the coolest thing
Mm.
fucking earth. Um, and this was like 99. Yeah, it was 1999. So we're getting ready for Y2K. And I go to get back in my car, and there's a red pickup. And these old pickups, it's the red, dual cab, fleet side Ford pickups. And, this is 3 tons of Detroit's finest steel. And so I'm like, because of the way I parked so you couldn't, come up and
Right.
see me. So he blocked me in because my back end was toward the back of the gas station, and he was in front of me. So he had me blocked in. And as I come around and I get into the driver's seat of my car, he gets out of the truck and walks around to my driver's side window. And so I shut the door real quick. Stupid, my window was down. But I shut the door real quick and lock it. And I'll never forget this. And, God, obviously it's 25 years ago, but I'll never forget this. He says, I'm an undercover cop, and your car has been identified as being the part of a string of robberies. So you're going to have to come with me.
Huh.
So my car was very distinguishable. I mean, it was purple. Fuck. Plus I had personalized plates. And, this is a time when everybody put the giant fucking stickers on everything, which they still do. But
Right.
this is when it really started. And I was like, the fuck I am. And I backed up to where the back bumper touched that building and pulled one of these going toward the left, did one of these like just back and forth until I got to where I could get around his fucking truck. And I got around his truck and I hit the freeway and took off as fast as my little four banger would go. And that motherfucker followed me. He got behind me. Well, of course, because, he's got a bigger engine for one thing, but he got behind me and he followed me from this little town. So Bakersfield, and Bakersfield at the time was 4 hours. No, it was a little bit more. It was about 5 hours from home, from where I was headed. And he followed me from just say Bakersfield all the way to Merced. So literally right outside of the town I'm 45 minutes from now. So he followed me for 3 hours.
Wow.
And then I don't know if he either, well, because the sun had started coming up. So I don't know if it was either because the sun had started coming up, he was running out of gas. I don't know what the fuck ever reason, but I kept watching him. And then all of a sudden, I looked up and I saw him get off the freeway.
Huh.
And you talk about a sigh of relief. Because, yeah, we had, cell phones, but they were nothing like what we have now.
Right.
And, you paid for every minute you used. So I think what had happened is I think I was over my minutes or so. There was some reason I couldn't call the police or I couldn't call home. So my cell phone was useless.
Right.
And so later on, I started hearing like my mom, because of course, told my mom about it when I got home. So it was, I don't know, few months after. Um, so now it's like this was the beginning of fall. So now this is more, past Christmas, like around January, February. And my mom starts sending me newspaper clippings of young women that had gone missing.
Huh.
And my mom was like, and like one of the descriptions of the guys, I couldn't, bet on it now, but at the time it sounded very familiar.
Huh.
And I don't, they never knew what his name was. He was never found.
Wow.
So
That's scary.
yeah. So part of me is like, I wonder sometimes, I still think about it every now and then. Um, I wonder if he was just starting and he was perfecting his.
And you just got lucky.
I got lucky because I've been into true crime since junior high, so I never trusted anybody ever, and I
Right.
still don't. Like, if
Something like that happened to me
oh
now that
shit.
you're talking about it. And it was when I was in the Navy, and we had gone out for somebody's birthday. We had all left from work and drove out to dinner, and we're all driving back, and there's 12 of us in a section. We had all gone
Mhm.
out to celebrate his birthday, and we're all driving back to base because that's where everybody lives, and I'm the only woman.
That
So we're
doesn't
all
surprise
driving
me.
separately,
Yeah, but that
and
doesn't surprise me.
this unmarked car cuts in the line. I'm like in between everybody, cuts in the line to pull me over. And the guy behind me he went by, and it was a truck that pulled me over. Black truck, blacked out windows that had the blue and white lights in the front windshield.
Oh shit.
And so because he's behind me, this truck cut him off to get behind me. And then I see
Mhm.
the lights go off, but he can't see the lights until he's passing by. And he was like, there's something weird about this. He pulls into the gas station, which I'm parked right at, essentially. He pulls into the gas station and he calls me, and he was like, just put it, just put the phone down and let me, like, just have me on the phone. And this
Yeah.
guy comes up to the passenger side, but he's standing where I can't see him. All I can do is hear him. And he uses a flashlight to knock on my passenger side window, and he's standing back, so where I'm sitting, I'd have to turn my body completely around to see him in my back seat window. This is where he was standing. He wasn't leaning
Oh,
down to look in my
shit.
driver's side window or anything, or the window in the front or anything. He was just talking to me. And he was like, I'm going to need you to step out. I'm going to have to take you with me. Like, similar story. This
Oh, no,
license
fuck
plate
all
has been
that.
reported and all for a stolen vehicle and all this kind of stuff. And and I'm like, well, where's your credentials? Can I see your credentials?
Right.
And he says, you don't need to know any of that.
Oh, bullshit. Okay,
And
party people, if you get pulled over, no matter if it's a marked car or not, you have every right to see their credentials. And if you think you are being like, if you think that it's all a show or it's a false, call 911 and they'll
well,
tell you if there's a unit in the area.
and so the guy that I have on the phone, um, he was with his girlfriend. And so he called me and he was like, when he called me when he pulled in, he was like, don't say anything to me, just set the phone down. I want to hear what this guy has to say.
Mm-hmm.
And so the phone's just sitting there. It's sitting in my passenger side, so he can hear this guy clear as day. And I guess the girlfriend called the cops.
Smart.
And she was like, and they were like, and she called 911 and they were like, our friend's pulled over right here. It seems suspicious. Can you tell us if there's a cop that has called in a traffic stop at this location? And the
Right.
dispatcher is like, no, we haven't had a traffic stop all night. I'm sending a unit to your location.
Fuck.
As soon as the cop is going the opposite direction down the street, this guy sees him, runs back to his truck, and drives off. He sees the cop coming the other direction and drives off. And the cop flips around, flips their lights on, and pulls this guy over. He ended up being a corrections officer.
Fuck yeah. See? And that's what happens. And that's how come we have so much bullshit.
Yeah, he ended up being
Because
a corrections officer.
yeah. And what did we just talk about in one of our latest, well, it's an episode that's getting ready to come out. If you have somebody that's pretending to be a cop, it's because they couldn't be one.
Mm-hmm.
There's something in, well, obviously this guy, he's probably a rapist, a murderer.
I have no idea.
You
And it's
know,
funny because, like, many women had, like, reported this guy. He was telling them, like, pulling them over, similar things, and he was telling them, like, if they showed him his their boobs, that he would let them go away without giving
mhm.
them a ticket and things like that. And that women were calling it in and saying, this happened to me, and they were like, well, can you describe the vehicle? Did you get a license plate? And
Mhm.
none of
Yeah.
them could.
Look
And
at
it,
the
you
Golden
know,
State. Look at the Golden State Killer,
right. And
D'Angelo.
with, like, because I have the law enforcement background. I probably wouldn't have believed this guy to begin with, because it was already kind of fishy, the
Right.
whole thing to begin with. But just knowing that, like, right there, I have, a very big guy, this guy that had pulled in there, and with his girlfriend, he was a huge guy. Like, just
Yeah.
knowing that he was right there, so if anything went wrong, him and his girlfriend would have been there to help me in a second. But I mean, I was
Well,
like,
what? Okay, dude. If you're listening, thank you.
right.
Thank you for being there. thank you for being suspicious and thank you for taking action.
Well, afterwards the next day, because as soon as the cop came and we saw the cop, because I saw the cop coming in the cop car, he didn't have lights on or anything, but he was just driving by,
Mhm.
and like I'm looking at him, and the guy must have saw him too, and I see him run. He runs behind me, so I can see him in the rearview mirror running to get in the passenger side of his truck, and he's wearing jeans. He had jeans
Oh,
on.
see, now out here, like our detectives, they can wear jeans, but they have like their service weapon and they have their badge. So like they wear their badge either, on their neck
Well, it
or
has to
on
be
their,
displayed.
yeah,
It has to be visible.
yeah, but they don't do traffic stops.
Right.
They get called in like once a traffic stop has been done by a uniformed officer.
Right. Well, those are the only
They,
ones that can do traffic stops. Even if
yeah,
they're in an unmarked unit, in order for them to do a traffic stop, they have to be uniformed.
yeah. And then they call the detectives or like the drug units and are like,
Yeah.
"Hey,
Right.
we found something. You better come out here."
Right. So I just laughed because I didn't
Dude.
look at him like to coming up like when the lights came on and I pulled over, and of course I'm kind of panicking because I'm like, damn, I was drinking,
Yeah.
and I'm
Oh
like
yeah.
popping gum in my mouth and digging for my license and registration and all that stuff. So I'm not watching him walk up. But then when he knocks on, and what kind of gave me the first even suspicion is when the guy called me. The guy in my section called me and he was like, "Hey, we pulled into this gas station. I'm watching. I'm right here. Just put the
Mhm.
phone down and act like, I want to hear what this guy has to say." And and then he came up to the passenger side. Like I had the driver's side window down, expecting him to come to the driver's side.
Right.
And
No, he didn't want you to see him because he
he
wasn't.
knocked on the passenger side, but I can't see him. So I'm kind of just looking, and then he knocked again, and that's when I realized that he was standing behind, and the only thing I could see was a flashlight. He was just sticking his arm out and using a flashlight, so I couldn't see him.
Yep. Because he's not legit.
Right,
So, because if he'd have been legit, he'd have put his face right in your fucking window and been like, "Hey, I saw you pull out of that bar,
right,
and we need to have a talk."
right.
No. And I bet you anything that fucker was stalking the bar, waiting to see.
Well, and it's because like the next day, um, like we went and told our command obviously what had
Mm.
happened,
Yeah.
and then they get in touch with the local police department to find out like what was going on with this guy, because we like told them everything, that the cop came, then the cop chased him, and then eventually as we're driving by, the real cop had him pulled over. So he did stop eventually, but he took off at first and the cop chased him for a little while, but as we got closer to the base, he had given up and pulled over. So the
Well, yeah,
cop, that's
especially
what
if he's
they
in a
had
truck.
said, is he was waiting at the restaurant for a woman to come out by herself. And I had walked out with the group of people, but then I got in the car by myself, and
Yeah.
so he followed us.
Yeah. And he probably didn't, well, it's not probably, I'm more than sure. He didn't expect you to have a friend or somebody that would stop with him. He didn't expect you to be savvy. He expected you to be scared and do whatever he asked.
Right. But yeah, and it was like that was the very first thing, because he said, I ran your license plate, and this license plate has been reported that this is a stolen vehicle. And I didn't even say anything. I like didn't even acknowledge it. The first thing I said to him was, I want to see your credentials. Why are you running
Mhm.
my plates? There's no probable cause for you to run my plates, period. I didn't do anything
Right.
wrong. Where's your credentials? And so I think he was taken aback by that, because they have to have probable cause to pull you over. They have to have
Mhm.
probable cause to run your plates, because that's a violation of your rights. That's your private information. They have to have
Mhm.
probable cause to look at that.
Right. So and that that's kind of something not similar like this, but that's I got pulled over. We got a little hick town. I mean, obviously, than the little hick town I live in, but I used to work out in a little hick town, Oakdale,
Mm-hmm.
and Oakdale does not like their gay people. And they definitely don't like their gay people to have mohawks and listen to very loud deathcore music.
Okay.
If you're going to be gay in Oakdale, you better be so far in the closet the only thing showing is your shoes.
Yeah.
Um and you know, I like my music loud. Still now to this day I like my music loud. And I got pulled over on heading out of town to come home. And in the afternoon cuz I worked morning shift. So I get pulled and he was a legit cop, but he comes walking up to my window and I already have my license, my registration out, and I'm trying to think to myself like, did I roll through a stop sign? Was I
Right.
going too fast? What did I do? Did I have a tail light out? You know what? And he comes up to the window and he says, "I need your license registration." So I hand it to him. He goes, "Your music's very loud." Okay.
Mm.
He says, "We don't like your kind around here." And I looked at him and I said, "What cause do you have for pulling me over?" "Well, your music is too loud." That's not against the law. It's only against the law after 10 p.m. and before 6 a.m. Right. So why are you pulling me over then? "Well, I'm just telling you, you need to turn it down." And I said, "Then give me a ticket so I can fight this in court." And he's like standing there just staring at me like dumbstruck. And he goes, "Do you realize how the law in Oakdale works?" I said, "Do you realize how the law in California works?" I said, "Give me a ticket. Arrest me.
Right.
Attempt to search me and watch me own everything in Oakdale." I said, "Because I'm married to law enforcement." My shit got tossed back into my window so fast and he was gone.
Hmm.
And every time I saw him, because he was the only cop on the force that would wear a fucking cowboy hat. And every time I'd see him, I kid you not, because it's not against the law to do this. I mean, it could get you pulled over if you like, you know, got a tail light out or you're going just a little too fast or something. But every time we would see him, I would purposely drive past his patrol car and do this because there was nothing he could do to me. Bastards.